Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the topic how to allow or deny requests based on IP addresses in Nginx. So this is a common requirement that almost all the people who manage websites that face during the production operations. So because once let's say once we start using the website, people will come across several attacks from a specific region or from specific IP addresses to their websites. So and we will not be able to shut down the website just because of this address. We'll have to keep moving. So the only option for them is to block those IP addresses, identify and block those IP addresses. So how can we identify these IP addresses? The IP addresses can be identified by verifying the logs. Okay, so in most of the scenarios we'll be able to get the IP addresses by checking the access logs or there are logs in our application. So we will see if there are any malicious or continuous hits from specific IP addresses that is trying to bring down the website. So once we identify this IP address, the next action is to block this. So if there is any vulnerability associated with our website, we'll have to fix it. But if there is continuous hits from something specific, the only option is for us to block those IP addresses. So blocking can be done in various ways. So that is what I'm going to explain in this video. Okay, so let me explain how basically the various layers that is present in a web application. Okay, so we deploy the application in usually like the application's external endpoint will be pointed through or front faced through something called a web server. So in production scenarios, what will happen is it will be either through a load balancer or some specific mechanism. But in simple terms, okay, in simple terms, if you see, this is how it looks like. There will be network layer, and behind that there will be a web server, and behind that there will be our application. So network layer is something that we can say the firewall, the network component of it, the ISPs, the load balancer, everything. Okay, so behind that our web server comes. Web server can be our Nginx, Apache web server, or IaaS, or it could be something else. Okay, so the last layer is basically our application. So where it could be a web application, it could be an API, so it could be anything that is served over this internet. Okay, so here we are going to talk about, so as this topic is more towards explaining the capabilities of Nginx, so here we are talking about how can we address this at the web server layer. In typical production scenarios, we usually address it at the network layer itself, either it's a firewall or at the load balancer level. That is the most efficient mechanism because the hits will not even reach the the web server. Okay, so that is the efficient mechanism. But in some scenarios, we will not be able to handle at that layer because maybe because of the capabilities at that layer, or maybe because of the access restrictions at that layer. So in those kind of scenarios, we will have to configure it at the web server layer. So we are going to talk about how we can configure this type of settings in our Nginx. Okay, so I'm going to discuss about two scenarios. Okay, so scenario one is, let's say we have a website and I wanted to block. Okay, so this red arrow shows block, and basically, or we can say deny, and the green shows I wanted to allow. Okay, so I wanted to deny a range of IP addresses, okay, or a specific IP address, or basically multiple specific IP addresses, multiple IP addresses. So range of IP addresses means, let's say I can block a complete series, let's say 192.168.1.0 to 256. This is an internal IP, but it could be we can talk about some external IP also. So a range of IP addresses, we can block that. Second is specific IP address, let's say 10.20.1.0. okay, like that. I need multiple individual IP addresses. It is not going to maybe it is not following a specific series or something. I have a list of IP addresses. I want to block those IP addresses. So that is scenario one. And then the remaining all the other IP addresses I wanted to allow traffic. Okay, allow from all these, and basically allow from the remaining and block from these, either a range or a specific or multiple. Okay, this is scenario one. Okay, and then let's talk about scenario two. Scenario two is allow from a specific IP address, or allow from multiple IP addresses, or allow from a range of IP addresses. Okay, So or a combination of all these. Okay, this is the second option. And deny from all the other IP addresses. Okay, so deny from all places except a specific whitelisted IP addresses. So this is the scenario 2. So in this video we are going to discuss about how we are going to address this. Okay, so now let's get into the practical part. So I have my web server here. Okay, so this is my Nginx server. So if you see, this is running, active running. Okay, and I have configured a simple, so this is running with the default configuration. The only thing that I have done over here is Nginx conf.d. I have added a virtual host that is for a specific web application. Okay, if you see, I have added a dummy configuration which is with the domain name app.codeandboards.com. okay, and I have two location blocks. One is location / and location subdirectory. So I have kept it empty. We'll fill the details for during this example. Okay, so first thing is, before even getting into this one, so the public IP address of this one is, let's say, ping app.codeandboards.com. okay, so before even getting that, let's discuss about this. So app.codeandboards.com. right now let's hit this. Okay, so let's see what happens. So I'm hitting this. See, welcome to Nginx. So basically this is the default Nginx page and it is opening properly. Okay, so there is no restriction, and I have a small application configured over here. Before that, let me install screen so that I can run something in the background. I have a small web application over here, that is my sample.py. So let me copy that code here again. I'm not explaining any of this code here because this was already explained and the configurations were all explained in the previous session. So this is nothing, it is a simple Python program. So Python program that runs an API behind it. Sorry. Okay, so this has a simple API behind it, Python sample.api. okay, no, it has, oh sorry, Python 3 sample.api. okay, this is running. So what I'll do is I'll run this in the background. And I'll create a proxy. Okay, so now let's go to our Nginx. Okay, first thing is, before even getting into the proxy part, let's see how we can deny this access. Okay, so ctc nginx conf.d. oh sorry, it's not nano, it is cd. So here we have the webapp.conf. okay, so now allow from all, I'm going to deny from our IP. So how can I find my IP? I can find my IP by typing my public IP. okay, what is my IP address? So this is my IP address, 90.240.160. okay, let me do this. I am doing deny from this IP. So that means any request from my IP address will be denied. Okay, so now let's open this again. Okay, now let's open this again. Okay, now let's open this again. So it is opening, but let's comment this spot because this allow is there, right? Yeah, now you see it is showing forbidden. Okay, I forgot to basically comment the allow part. That's the reason it was allowing. Okay, so deny the specific IP address. So because of that, what happened? You see 403 forbidden. Now let's get into the details of this. Okay, so let's check tail -f /var/log nginx error log. Okay, so in the error log, let's see now the time. So you see this error log saying access forbidden by rule. Okay, so basically a rule was executed, and what was the rule? That is something that we configured in the application. Access forbidden by rule, client this one to app.codeandboots.com. Okay, so basically based on the rule it was denied. Okay, so that is why this happened. Okay, so like this having we can configure deny rule to. Okay, so now let's configure the proxy to our APIs. So let's verify our API is running or not. DULPN. So our API was configured to run on port 80. So let's see whether it is still running in port 80. So it's not. Okay, running to configure on 80. Let's install NetTools. So I'm using the command netstart to check the ports that are busy. So you see 8080, it's a Python process, so that's our API. So let's try hitting that one locally. Get http://localhost:8080/. Okay, so thank you hello from root. Okay, if I hit /subpath, thank you hello from subpath. So the reason is I have deployed an API which responds. So forget about this function, this is not used. Okay, so these two functions, one is /subpath, it responds thank you from subpath, and / it responds thank you from root. So this is what I have deployed, and it is running on port 8080. Okay, so now let's prepare the proxy for those in our Nginx. So here in the location / what I am going to do is I will configure subpath first, then I will configure for /. Okay, so proxy pass okay, proxy pass http:// to subpath. Okay, and in the location / what I am going to do is I am going to create a proxy which allows from basically which is going to hit the proxy pass /path. Okay, so now let's see. So basically what I am expecting is this / should allow my request and the subpath should deny my request. Okay, so that is what I am expecting. So let's save this configuration, nginx -t. Okay, success service nginx reload. I am reloading the configuration. Now let's open the browser. So let's hit again. So see, once I hit the /path, okay, so app.codeandboots.com / it is giving thank you from root. That means it is accepting my request. But if I create subpath /subpath, it's going to give me, see, it is spinning and it is going to give me forbidden. Reason, it denied my request. Okay, so let us try again. In the configuration, let's comment this line deny. Okay, so let's comment this line deny, save it, reload it. Now if I refresh, what will happen? See, thank you from subpath. So that means in this way, if you see what we have done, we have single endpoint which is basically under the domain app.codeinputs.com. Under that we have multiple paths, slash subpath slash, I can have any number of paths. Okay, so here I have given like a see here I have denied it using specific IP. So any request coming from the specific IP, it will be denied, and all the other requests, so this subpath access will be denied only to my IP. Okay, so it is enabled for every other IP. And then location slash, it is allowed from everywhere, so that means it accepts from my side as well. Okay, so similarly, instead of allow all, I can give allow from a specific IP. So instead of this allow all, I can enable it like allow from this IP. Okay, so allow from this IP I can do. And similarly here, instead of, I can give deny from this IP. Okay, so this is also possible. And another thing people can do is basically instead of allow a specific IP, so we can have multiple allow. Okay, it is not just from one IP, we can have duplicate this to another IP, let's say 163. Okay, so different IPs we can configure. We can have multiple allow entries. Similarly, we can have multiple deny entries also. Deny. Okay, so like this, I mean, we can configure multiple allow and deny entries. And another option is not just allow deny entry on specific IP, I can do allow on, like, let's say 0/24. Okay, like this, I mean, I can basically allow a block of IP addresses. So this also works. Okay, so so this means, I mean, it's 0 to 20, that means I mean 256 IPs from 0, that means 1, 2, 3, instead of configuring 62, 63, 64, like this, I mean, if I want to whitelist this entire IP series itself, I can specify a subnet. Okay, so in this way we can configure allow or deny to specific paths inside Nginx. So once again I am explaining, so what we are discussing is basically a configuration which is controlling the access from the web server side. So people usually generally this is configured in the network side, but in some scenarios we will not be able to do that at the network side. In that scenario we will do it from the web server side, and in some scenario even people do this kind of access control from the application side, but that is rare. But most probably it is either from the network or from the web server. So I hope this example is clear. So if you have any questions or any doubts, feel free to comment below this video. If you have any feedbacks on improving my content, feel free to comment below, so I'll improve in the upcoming videos. I'm a new channel, so this is a new channel, so there are still more room to